It's February 2017. 5 years. Yes, 5 years since the Vita's original North American release date. And with a $200 price tag and the Vita practically being declared dead by Sony, it's still worth getting today. Well, let's find out. I'll begin with a quick overview and history of the PS Vita, then I'll talk about the reasons why you may or may not want to get the Vita. Then I'll discuss some things to consider before purchasing the Vita and finish off with my personal recommendations. The PS Vita was originally released in December 2011 in Japan as the successor to the PSP. When it originally released, Sony went all out, adding a myriad of features to it like 3G connectivity, a beautiful OLED display, a capacitive touchscreen, back and front facing cameras, and other somewhat gimmicky things like the back touchpad. They also made it a powerhouse that many, including myself, saw it almost as a portable PS3, as it had some great AAA games like Uncharted Golden Abyss and Killzone Mercenary that had very similar visuals to a PS3, and with the Vita's dual analog sticks and identical button layout to the PS3 controller, playing on it felt similar to the console experience. They also added social apps like the Near app, which let you talk to other Vita users near you. The Vita even had cross-game chat, a feature that not even the PS3 had. Unfortunately, with a ridiculously priced and proprietary memory cards instead of micro SD cards and a somewhat steep launch price, the Vita was ultimately seen as a flop. After a couple years, Sony released a cheaper and slimmer model of the PS Vita nicknamed the PS Vita Slim. This newer model was, as its name suggests, slimmer, lighter, and used a cost-saving LCD display rather than an OLED display. The OLED display was noticeably better, but unless you had the original Vita and the Slim right beside it, you wouldn't be able to tell. With that out of the way, let's talk about why you may want to get one. First, if you already own a PS4, then the Vita is a fantastic addition. The PS4 and PS3 will let you use the Vita with Remote Play, which will allow the game to run on the PS4 or PS3 but be playable on the Vita. This is useful if, for example, your console is in the family living room and others want to watch something else on the TV but you still want to play. There is a very slight latency, so I wouldn't use this to try to get a noob in Call of Duty multiplayer, but for other single player games, the Vita is fine. Also, if you ever have a rage-fueled multiplayer match and break your one and only controller, then the Vita can be used as the PS4 controller. But as I said earlier, I wouldn't try to use the Vita to get a nuke in Call of Duty multiplayer. The Vita also has a wide variety of cheap and fun indie games. These games will bring you hours upon hours of fun, and unlike smartphones, you'll have a fully dedicated controller. The Vita also has a great selection of games that are not available anywhere else, everything from JRPGs like Persona 4 Golden to unique games like Little Deviants, which take full advantage of the Vita's unique features. There are also some PS3 cross-platform games like Wipeout 2048, which will let you play with your friends online with the Vita. You also get 2 free games per month on the Vita with PlayStation Plus, and if there is a free monthly PlayStation Plus game on the PS4 that was also available on the Vita, like Helldivers, then you could add the game to your library and then download it on the Vita as well. Pixelated games like Metal Slug, which don't look as good in a large screen TV, look great and translate well to the Vita. Lastly, there is a lot of classics available on the Vita, everything from PS1 classics like Final Fantasy VII to PS2 classics like God of War, and my favorite game series of all time, Jak and Daxter. Little fun fact, the main reason I initially bought the Vita was to replay the Jak and Daxter series. I know I could have replayed it on the PS3 or even the PS2, but since I had already gotten all 3 platinums on the PS3, I really didn't want to play it there again. So I decided to buy the Vita along with the Jak and Daxter collection. So there's quite a lot to like about the Vita. However, there are still some reasons why you may not want to get one. First, and most importantly, is the previously stated ridiculously priced proprietary memory cards. Just before writing this video, I checked to see the price of the memory cards, and I thought that after a few years the price would have gone down, but no. A 16GB memory card is still around $50, which is just ridiculous. You can easily find a 16GB micro SD card for less than $10. Luckily, there are some Vita bundles that come with a memory card and a game. Also, the Vita is still around $200. and with a few games and a memory card, it'll bring the price to upwards of $300. So the Vita is not that cheap. Lastly, there are a lot of signs that point to Sony being close to stop support of the Vita. For example, the Vita no longer appears in the North American and European PlayStation websites. It only appears on the Japanese website where the Vita is still popular. So if at this point, after hearing some pros and cons of the Vita, you are leaning more towards buying one, there are a few things to consider. First, and perhaps most important, is the Nintendo Switch. The Switch is just around the corner and looks to be another great portable home console hybrid thing. My only complaint about the Switch is the lack of launch games announced so far. Another thing to consider is other games that are on the horizon that you may be interested in. Would you rather spend your money on the Vita or that new game? Lastly, ask yourself, how often do I see myself using it? Now for my final thoughts and my overall recommendation. First, if you own a PS4, then I think the Vita is something you should consider. If you constantly travel on a plane, a bus, or maybe you're usually on the road on long trips, then the Vita brings hours of fun pastime. Lastly, if you have been adding the free PlayStation Plus Vita games each month to your library, then I think you should definitely buy the Vita. There have been a lot of great free Vita games that you'll have instant access to, and it's a wide variety of games too, from indies, RPGs, action, among other games. Anyways, this about does it for this review, maybe? I don't know what you would call this. If you have any additional questions, you can leave them down in the comments. If you already own a Vita, do you think it's worth buying one now? Let me know in the comments. Lastly, if there is a particular tech product you would like me to review, leave any suggestions in the comments or ask me on Twitter. Like this video if you liked it and subscribe for additional tech videos. Adios.